Today, we dive deep into one of the most explosive legal battles unfolding in the United States. The Trump administration's Department of Justice lawsuit against Washington, D.C. over gun control laws. This case is not just a local dispute, it is a national showdown involving constitutional rights, public safety, politics, and the limits of federal authority. For the next hour, we will break down what exactly triggered this lawsuit, what the Trump DOJ argues, why Washington, D.C. is defending its gun policies, historical context behind gun law debates, legal precedents involved how this case could affect the Second Amendment, nationwide political reactions, and what experts believe might happen next. Let's begin. On December 23, 2025, the U.S. Department of Justice, under the Trump administration, filed a federal lawsuit against the District of Columbia. The DOJ claims that Washington, D.C.'s regulations on semi-automatic rifles, including the popular AR-15, violate citizens' Second Amendment rights. D.C. currently has a ban on many semi-automatic rifles considered assault weapons, strict registration requirements, mandatory safety training, limits on magazine capacity. According to the Trump DOJ, these restrictions go too far and unlawfully prevent law-abiding Americans from owning common firearms. D.C. argues that its laws protect public safety in a dense urban area that has struggled with gun violence for decades. This clash sets the stage for a massive constitutional fight. The Department of Justice argues three major points. Point 1. Semi-automatic rifles are in common use. The AR-15 is the most popular rifle in America. The DOJ claims that because millions own it, cities cannot ban or heavily restrict it. This follows the Supreme Court's logic from the Heller and Bruen decisions, where common-use weapons receive strong constitutional protection. Point 2. The Second Amendment includes self-defense with modern firearms. The DOJ argues that self-defense is not limited to handguns. Rifles are commonly used for home protection training, competitive shooting, hunting. Therefore, banning them undermines the core of the Second Amendment. Point 3. D.C.'s laws fail modern constitutional tests. The DOJ argues that D.C.'s regulations are too broad, disqualify too many firearms, limit magazine capacity without historical precedent. They say the laws cannot meet the Supreme Court's requirement that gun regulations show historical consistency with early American practices. Washington, D.C. has responded strongly, insisting its gun laws are necessary. D.C. officials argue, 1. Public safety is their top priority. The city has one of the highest concentrations of government buildings, embassies, federal personnel, and tightly packed neighborhoods. They believe that loosening gun laws would lead to more shootings, gang violence, domestic incidents, accidental shootings too. The AR-15 ban protects citizens. D.C. argues that semi-automatic rifles have been used disproportionately in mass shootings. Their rapid-fire capability and high-capacity magazines make them dangerous in urban areas. 3. The Second Amendment allows reasonable regulation. D.C. cites historical examples of communities regulating concealed carry firearm, storage weapon types, public carry rules. They argue that even under Bruen, some controls are constitutional. Understanding this case requires looking back. The landmark cases: 1. District of Columbia versus Heller, 2008. This Supreme Court case struck down D.C.'s handgun ban. It affirmed for the first time that the Second Amendment protects an individual right to bear arms. 2. McDonald versus Chicago, 2010. Extended the individual right to the entire country. 3. NYSRPAV, Bruen, 2022. This case rewrote the test used to judge gun laws. Courts must now compare modern gun laws to historical ones, show a long tradition of similar regulations, reject modern restrictions without historical roots. Because of Bruen, many gun laws nationwide have been challenged or overturned. Now the Trump DOJ is using Bruen as a weapon to attack D.C.'s policies. Why this case is so important? This lawsuit is generating enormous attention because its outcome could redefine gun control in urban cities, influence laws in states like California, New York, and New Jersey, expand gun rights nationwide, Force cities to rethink public safety strategies. Implication 1. Could overturn assault weapon bans. If DC's restrictions fall, similar bans in Illinois, New York, Maryland, California, New Jersey may also be challenged. Implication 2. Could expand AR-15 access. The AR-15 could become fully legal and widely accessible across the U.S. Implication 3. Political consequences. Democrats may argue this endangers communities, while Republicans may celebrate a major Second Amendment victory. Either way, the case will shape future elections. Political and public reactions. Republican reaction supporters of former President Trump applaud the DOJ's lawsuit. They see DC's laws as too restrictive, out of sync with the Constitution. Politically motivated, many conservative states have already passed laws expanding gun access. Democratic reaction. Democrats accuse the Trump administration of undermining public safety. They argue the lawsuit threatens local authority, ignores mass shooting concerns, misinterprets Supreme Court decisions. Gun rights groups. The NRA, Gun Owners of America, and other organizations strongly support the lawsuit, calling it a historic correction. Gun control groups. Organizations like Everytown and March for Our Lives condemn the lawsuit, saying it will cost lives. What experts are saying. Legal scholars say this case may eventually reach the Supreme Court. Some predict the court will strongly favor Second Amendment expansion, question the legality of assault weapon bans, reinforce the common use doctrine. Others believe the court may uphold some forms of regulation in dense urban areas. Either way, experts agree. This case will set the tone for gun rights for the next decade. Possible outcomes. Outcome 1. DOJ wins. DC's gun restrictions are struck down. Potential ripple effects. Assault weapon bans fall nationwide. Courts adopt stricter scrutiny on gun laws. Massive expansion of gun rights. Outcome 2. DC wins. The city keeps its regulations. Potential ripple effects. Cities receive more freedom to regulate firearms. Gun control groups gain momentum. States may introduce similar laws. Outcome 3. Partial ruling. For example, AR-15 ban overturned magazine limits, kept training requirements modified. This is the most likely outcome according to many analysts. What happens next? The lawsuit will go through U.S. District Court, then possibly the U.S. Court of Appeals, and ultimately, potentially, the U.S. Supreme Court. Because the issue is so important, legal experts believe a Supreme Court review is inevitable. The Trump DOJ lawsuit against Washington, D.C. is not merely a local dispute over gun rules. It is a national battle over constitutional rights, government authority, public safety, and the future of American firearms law. For now, both sides are preparing for a long fight. The Trump administration argues this is about protecting freedom. Washington, D.C. insists it is about protecting lives. The courts will decide the outcome, but the country will feel the consequences.